Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, great for recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with somebody you think might get something out of it. Guys, happy Sunday. I'm actually taking it pretty easy today. I slept about 8, went to the gym, had a fantastic workout. Missed the gym a couple times this week with all the work, but I'm able to balance things like that out. Coming into heat season, I think it's going to happen a lot. I do a lot of no heat calls, been getting them all day for this coming week. Went and had a beautiful service at church, took care of, ran a couple errands, and just watched my Patriots win a football game. Love my life today, guys. Stress free, a lot of really good things going. It's because I found my faith, I've aligned myself with my higher power, and I practice the spiritual principles they teach me in recovery. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. One of the spiritual principles I've learned is I no longer have to feel the need to be right all the time, but I try to correct myself when I'm wrong and promptly admit it, and that's a big difference. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today, guys. The reading today is titled Being Right. Being right. When we admit that our lives had become unmanageable, we don't have to argue our point of view. We no longer have to be right all the time. Nothing isolates us more quickly from the warmth and camaraderie of our community than having to be right. Insecure, we pretend to be some kind of authority figure suffering from low. We, insecure, we pretend to be some kind of authority figure. Suffering from low self esteem, we try to build ourselves up by putting others down. At best, such tactics push others away, and at worst, they draw attack. The more we try to impress others with how right we are, the more wrong we become. We don't have to be right. To be secure, we don't have to be right to be secure. We don't have to pretend to have all the answers for others to love or respect us. In fact, just the opposite is true. None of us have all the answers. We depend upon one another to help bridge the gaps in our understanding of things, and we depend upon a power greater than ourselves to make up for our own personal powerlessness. We live easily with others when we offer what we know, admit what we don't, and seek to learn from our peers. We live securely in ourselves when we cease relying on our own power and start relying on the God we've come to understand in recovery. We don't have to be right all the time, we just have to be recovering. And the affirmation is, God, I admit my powerlessness and unmanageability of my life. Help me to live with others as an equal, dependent upon you for direction and strength. Guys, that literally sums up the last really 10 months of my life. The biggest gift, it's funny, I catch myself saying these things a lot. I've been given a lot of gifts lately, guys, and a lot of them are really big, and they're all recovery, and they're all faith related, and they all tie hand in hand. But I was very fortunate early on to understand that everything I was doing on my own was wrong. The way I saw myself, the way I look at the world, what I thought I had to do, what I didn't think I had to do, it was all wrong. My life had become completely unmanageable. I had given away all of my power. Simple as that, guys. And no truer statement has ever been said. But because I was fortunate enough to be asked to say a prayer one night, and because something inside of me was dying for help, I thought I was doing it just to appease somebody. I didn't really think anything of it other than I started to speak. And my subconscious mind took over, begging God for help because I had needed it desperately. And I'm so incredibly thankful that I said that prayer that night. And literally, guys, I felt it right then and there in that moment. I felt something. And I hadn't felt anything good in a long, long time. So the next night, I did it again, and I did it again. And as I started getting a little more comfortable with it, but again, I used to think I had no faith, and yet I was terrified about what I was willing to ask for in prayer because the last time I had asked for anything in prayer was 20 years before when I had cops knocking on my door and I was trying to get out of I was looking at, substantial jail time, and I said a prayer, and the next day I got locked up, and I'm like, well, and then I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, well, I was asking to get out of this thing and, to make these warrants go away, and the only way you make a warrant go away is when you turn yourself into the court or you get picked up and arrested. So I got exactly what I asked for. But because it happened so dramatically and so quickly that it stuck with me forever, I was very, very careful. And I just basically avoided praying, but if I did, I was very careful about what I was going to ask for in prayer. And the reason I share this with you guys is because here I am running around saying that I'm an atheist and I don't believe and science is proven this, that, and yeah, I'm just the ignorant, nonsense that I used to spew. Yet, at the same time, I was terrified to ask for something in prayer, knowing how powerful it was, which is the definition of faith. Okay? So here I am all along. I had faith, but I was afraid of my faith, and that's the honest answer. I knew I knew period, but I wasn't willing to acknowledge that I was so far out of alignment that to ask for any kind of help in prayer, I'd probably get it, and it was going to be painful, and it was going to be uncomfortable, and it was going to disrupt my life. Simple as that. Finally, this time around, when I started to pray and started to ask for help to God, it made me understand exactly that yeah, you're going to have to do the uncomfortable thing. And again, I wasn't aware of this fully yet, so I was trying to balk, and I was trying to find the softer, easier way, and thinking that somehow if I prayed enough that miraculously just addiction would be taken from me. And the more I balked, the more messages I got, one way or another, all directly from God, to shed that which didn't serve you. And guys, I use those words because I would literally see those words 50, 60 times a day. It was like, to the point where it was just insane. But it got my attention, and every time it was put to me in that way, I knew immediately what what was being said, that put down the fucking drugs. So I knew it had to be done, but I didn't know what to do. I tried detoxing here at home, thought I could do it without disrupting my whole life. And guys, the reason that wouldn't work was because there was nothing worth saving at that point. I needed to walk away to get the clarity to understand that it was everything about my life that caused me to use drugs. And then if I just tried to get off the drugs and stay in that life, it was not going to work. It was impossible. I was living a situation that required constant medication to stop me from seeing the nonsense that I was doing and then having to emotionally feel the repercussions of it. So, when it was finally, I laying here trying to detox and almost died, God made sure my friend Doug looked into me, and he sent the police in, sent the fire in. They got me to the hospital. I did manage to weasel my way out of that. But I got home, and I realized as soon as I got home, I'm like, what did I just do? I just had the lifeline that I've been begging for, and I walked away from it. So I picked up the phone, and I called around, and I got a bed in rehab, and I promised myself in that moment, I said, this is it. I'm gonna dive in it again. I went to rehab. I was reading books. I was reading about scientific prayer. I was a shining star in rehab. Thank God I at least went so far as to sign up for my IOP, my intensive outpatient treatment. And I stayed in rehab until my doctor's appointment to get on the medically assisted treatment. So I left right from the rehab to the doctor's, went right from the doctor's home. Guys, I was home for 2 hours, and I found a rock of crack and smoked it. Because though I've been putting things in place, trying to work a program on my own was not going to work. And that was the last message God needed to give me, so that I would fully engage with my IOP. I would be willing to go find a meeting the next day and get active and speak in that meeting and share my story. And then he put somebody in my path that I could be of service of, to show me and remind me how much it means to me to be of service. Guys, all these things happened because I was praying and I was being honest. I was letting go of the need to be right. Because if I think I'm right, oh God, nothing would have changed. I'd be right back to where I always ended up. I was wrong. I was wrong in every which way, every sense of the word, and I'm so incredibly happy to say that today. Because, and again, I still got a long way to go, but over these 9 months, I've changed everything, because I finally stopped thinking I had all the answers and started to understand I didn't have any answers. Every bit of information I had was wrong. At least that I was acting on anyway. Not everything I knew in my brain was wrong, but everything I was acting on. Every way I looked at myself, every way I looked at the world around me, my part in the world around me, was wrong. And then when I was around other people, I would try to be right all the time to make up for the fact that I felt so wrong, that so somebody else would give me a little positive reinforcement, so I didn't feel so goddamn shitty about myself or low about myself. Guys, I don't need that today, because I aligned myself with my higher power. Because I understood that the two most important relationships in my life was the one with myself and the one with my higher power. I don't need outside validation. I need to like the person that I am. In order to like the person that I am, I got to do things that make me happy about myself. And like that seems like such a common sense thing, but from where I was coming from, that was really, really foreign. And again, I literally walked into rehab with tears in my eyes saying, I don't know who I am. I don't know what matters to me. I don't know what damage I've done. Guys, God has given me all these answers, right? I can honestly say, 9 months later, I love the person I found, but it's taken me 52 years to finally start to look at the person that I am, to finally understand that I'm gifted and I'm skilled and I'm kind and I'm compassionate. I'm understanding. I'm very quick to figure things out. Like I have a lot of really good strengths. Like and I have to remind myself of these things constantly because I abused myself for the better part of 50 years. It's not always a flip of a switch to let that shit go. But when you do it through your higher power and then you act on the intuitive information you get in prayer and meditation, it's incredibly beautiful. It's incredibly gratifying. It's not always easy, and there's going to be some uncomfortable points when you're still holding on to things that you don't think you have to get rid of yet that may not be for your highest good. If you work your program little by little, you will. And the thing is, guys, that when that scale is really uncomfortable in the beginning, as you do the work, it starts to balance out, and then all of a sudden it goes the other way, and now you're on the strong side of it. Working from your strengths and looking at your deficiencies and knowing that there's very easy answers to get under, to get strength built up in those areas. You just take the same steps that you applied to the first steps and you apply them to the others. And as you do these things, it gets easier and easier. And as you do, you get more confident in your ability to do so. And you get, again, it's never about accolades from the outside world, but that's a beautiful thing. All of us like to be complimented. All of us like to, have people acknowledge the good work that we're doing. And the thing of it is, guys, if you do good work, it's going to happen. It may not happen immediately. One thing I see in early recovery is people get very frustrated because they did one thing good and the whole world isn't throwing them a parade. I was just as guilty as that guy. I was the first one running around going, look, I wiped my own ass, you know what I mean? Like, come on, I'm 52 years old. I should have been, doing these adult things for a lot longer than I had been. Now, fortunately, I kept working at it, and again, as I worried about my relationship with myself and my relationship with my higher power, I started doing a lot of good things, and I started feeling better about myself. And then as I got strength in doing these things, I started looking at the positive feedback I was getting from all these areas, and it just made me want to dig in more. But it's nothing anybody else has said to me. As much as, guys, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm vain. I'm human like everybody else. I get complimented constantly because people see where I was at and they see what I'm presenting today, and it's night and day. And I absolutely love that. It builds me up. It pops up my ego. It makes me feel good about who I am. I go to the gym at 52 years old, and I'm putting weights up that are just a lot for my frame and my size and my age. And I'm bench pressing 315 pounds and getting 5-8 reps out of it. And people twice my size and half my age are looking at me like, how the hell are you doing that? And I love that today. But it's not why I do it. I don't go to the gym to, I don't know who's going to be there, and I could care less. I go there because at the end of the day, going there consistently gets me stronger, makes me feel better. And physical strength and recovery is as much a part of the program as anything else, guys. You got to work a program that encompasses all the areas of your life. Otherwise, that one area that you're not taking care of is going to come back and bite you in the ass, and you run the risk of it pulling you back out. And I'm fortunate enough to know that today because I finally started to shut up and listen in the early days, and then take the suggestions and believe what somebody else is telling me. Because for once in my life, I understood that if it worked for everybody else, I'm just like everybody else. As much as I used to like to think I'm anything but. Guys, if you asked me 5 months ago, I would have tried just about to convince you I was alien. Like, I thought nothing human applied to me. And then I wonder why nothing I did worked, right? Come on. Like, that's just the definition of insanity. And I can talk about that today, guys, because it no longer applies. I'm not perfect by any means. I still make mistakes, but they don't carry the weight anywhere near the weight that they used to. They don't hem me up like they used to. 99% of my day, I'm getting complimented for the good work that I'm doing. For people seeing me going the extra mile, taking the extra steps, building my business, building my brand, building my YouTube channel, taking the time, helping somebody out at church, stopping and holding the door for everybody. Like, I like the feelings that being good gives me, as opposed to the misery that I dealt with for so long. Guys, and the thing of it is, as I've continued to do so, I've continued to take leaps of faith, because I understood one of the benefits of doing this channel is if I want to get on here and show, tell people that these things work, I gotta make damn good and sure they're working for me, because otherwise I'm just a hypocrite, and that's bullshit. Guys, what I've managed to do in my life is literally miraculous, because it's been God doing it with me, or doing it for me, or doing it through me, however you want to talk about it. Every so often I get somebody saying, "Well, you got to take credit. You did that." Yeah, I did, but I did it with my hand in God's hand, and I couldn't have done it any other way. Let me make that perfectly clear. I tried these things for decades, and they didn't work, because I didn't do them right, because I didn't do them in faith. I didn't do them with my hand in God. I didn't listen to suggestion. I didn't take the proper actions, and I didn't know how to. And now, boom! All of a sudden, I'm considered one of the shining stars in recovery. What's the difference? Well, the difference is I started to pray and meditate and take action that I was directed from somebody that knows what the fuck they're talking about. God. Shouldn't swear and say God in the same sentence, but again, progress, not perfection. Guys, Sunday, it's a beautiful day. I love my Sundays. I needed my Sundays rest today, and that's the other thing, guys. You know what? I can do these things today. Like before, my friend Doug would call me and offer me to do something on Sunday, and I'd be so negative on any other night I thought I could make up. I don't have to do that today, guys. I work hard all week. I do good work. I do good things. When my friend called me today and said, "Hey, I'm down in Florida. I need, can you go to the Home Depot? You want to do that?" I'm like, "No. Like, I've worked my ass off all week. I need the day off so I can start again tomorrow." And he's like, "Good for you. All right, good deal. We'll call in the morning." Like, I'm able to be honest today because I put my needs first, and the second I do, nobody questions it, because I'm out there doing good things all week long. Like, nothing has to be a big deal if I'm not in agreement with somebody. I don't have to be right. I don't have to, I don't have to do what anybody says, and I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. The only person I have to please is myself and God, and that's by choice too. But I choose to, because it's made all the difference in my world today, guys. I think we'll call that the video today, guys. I really appreciate all the attention on the videos. I really appreciate all the views. I really appreciate a lot of good things in my life today, guys, because I'm trying to be a good person. And when you're good, you're aligned with good. When you're bad, you're aligned with bad. Think about it. It works. Guys, always remember, God loves you. I love you. Thank you so much. We will see you in the next one.